Okay, we could talk about the political assassinations in Minnesota for the full hour. As I said earlier, the guy's got a court appearance today. There's all sorts of implications about this. Elected officials, state, federal, local, are all understandably up in arms. We still don't quite understand enough about the motive of this guy, and there's a huge media story here about how the left and the right are both, making their own claims about his motive when they don't really know. So, Dan, what would you say forward looking? What are you looking for now in terms of implications of what happened?
Violence is bipartisan. And, whether it was Gabby Giffords years ago or this or the attempts on Donald Trump and others. And I think what you're seeing is this, there was a story over the weekend about how much money the judiciary is asking for protection, for security, for judges at almost all levels. Members of the House increasingly don't want their schedules made public. When I was on the Hill back in the middle of the 2010s, it was basically decided to lock the doors of offices in the congressional office buildings used to be open, right? The people's house, people could come in, guests could walk in. You had to go through security, but office doors were open and you were greeted when you walked in. The decision was then made to close them. The decision was then made to lock them. It's a sad commentary on where things are going. And I think I don't know the solution. This obviously would all cost money, but it's sad that Republicans and Democrats fear for their lives and that of their families these days.
Sean.
Yeah, 3 points. One, um, first of four now, because I'll number one associate myself with Dan. I think that it's ridiculous where we are. Two is I would say I found the media coverage rather despicable. You framed it correctly, Mark. There is unclear what the motives are. There's evidence on both sides. There are some speculating that it was purely about abortion. There was a note confirmed by law enforcement that he said no kings in his car. He was appointed by Tim Walz. And for the media to entirely focus this and frame it as a anti-abortion activist, which is what NBC and Politico and everybody have done, is just 100% false. We don't know the motive. If anything, it's definitely, with the evidence, the Minnesota law enforcement over the weekend asked people not to go to the No Kings rally purely because they found evidence in his car where he was expressing sympathy with that side. So I found the media coverage of this absolutely disgusting. Three is, remember when we talked about Padilla on Friday? There are people, you can't assume that someone's just because you might recognize them, or like, this is the world that we all live in now.
Yep.
And I've dealt with it personally where you can't just go, oh, well, you had to have known that person couldn't have been a threat. When somebody comes at you, and in this case, the individual is dressed as a law enforcement individual, or somebody who, like Senator Padilla, walked into an event the other day, went after the secretary, started chanting. No one has to, it shouldn't take somebody to guess whether your motives, like the immediate instinct is to protect. And I think that Democrats in particular, over the past couple of years, have made it very clear. Maxine Waters telling people to surround Trump officials, make them uncomfortable. Chuck Schumer saying, we're going to come after you, Gorsuch. We're going to get you. This language from the left inciting violence has got to stop.
Yeah, as well as language from the right.
Exactly. Thank you very much. It's bipartisan.
Yeah. I will say that I didn't see everything they said, so please don't flood me with cherry-picked individual statements from Governor Walz and others. But I thought the Minnesota officials, from the governor and law enforcement, I thought they did a spectacular job, not just informing the public and the country, but striking the right balance between being strong and expressing the hurt the community's feeling. The Minnesota politicians are obviously deeply affected by this. Former speaker was very well liked, dealt across the aisle. I thought the statement, if you haven't seen it, there's a bipartisan statement from the congressional delegation that's excellent.
Yep.
So we all hope out of any tragedy, good can come. I really think the folks in Minnesota, both parties, have set a spectacular example for how to deal with something, this kind of unspeakable horror.
And I'll just say, Mark, because
yeah.
I just want to say quickly, I agree with everything you said, and I thought the way the president responded was a disgrace. For him to take a shot at Tim Walz being a terrible governor, just not where you do it. Not the time and place.
Where'd he do that? I didn't see that.
It was too
was it? I forget where it was.
A female network reporter.
when he's doing the gaggle on departure.
No,
Yeah, they
no, no,
asked
they
if he was going to call Walls, and he said he may, but he said he's a terrible governor. He's awful. I mean, it just tone deaf. Tone deaf.
There was a female reporter for the Sunday shows that said she had called him.
Right.
Was that on audio and video?
No,
or
yeah,
just-
no. It was just
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
annotated.
That is horrible. Didn't see it, but it's horrible.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.